Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Welcome to today's special session celebrating the partnership between the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network and SustainChain. We'll be starting shortly. In the meantime, please take a moment to share your name, institution, and the country you're joining from. Hello, everyone. Now, to get this launch underway, it is my pleasure to introduce Jacqueline Corbelli, co-founder, chairman, CEO of Brightline Partners, LLC, founder and CEO of U.S. Coalition on Sustainability, and member of SDSN's Leadership Council, who will deliver opening remarks. Jacqueline, over to you.
Thank you so much. Big welcome to everyone who is zooming in from all over the world. We are thrilled to be spending this time together today with you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am the founder of SustainChain, which is the platform that all of the work of the U.S. Coalition on Sustainability is implemented upon. More importantly, today, I'm also a member of the Sustainable Development Solutions Network Leadership Council, and very happy to be on this journey together with all of you over the years. The Sustainable Development Solutions Network's work in its specific support for accomplishing the SDGs has really been at the center of building SustainChain, a technology platform that can assist the systems-based and multidisciplinary work that SDSN is doing. It's designed as a network of networks. And SustainChain is purpose-built to accelerate progress on the SDGs. Being successful, as we know, means surrounding the work with the ecosystems and experts it takes. And as the largest global network of academic leaders across science, technology, policy, and sustainability overall, I'm thrilled to welcome SDSN to the SustainChain platform today. The combination between us comes at a critical and difficult time, as we know. And artificial intelligence, used ethically, plays an all-important role to help us intelligently and rapidly move. SustainChain is powered by an AI engine that's doing just that, a very specific form of AI called reinforcement learning, which can help us not just intelligently and rapidly guide our actions, but also open up whole new pathways for accelerating the progress of each of our work and collectively. So a big welcome to the over 600 folks joining us today, and a big thank you to Maria at SDSN and to Jeff, not just for his exceptional leadership, but for being with us today to officially launch SDSN on the chain. Over to you, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Jackie. And it's wonderful to be launching this partnership. In fact, it's a partnership that goes back to your idea of SustainChain. I remember very vividly the first conversation where you described to me this idea several years ago. And as usual with you, you have brilliantly put it into operation, engaging businesses and academia already around the world in many, many important ways. But now we strengthen the partnership of SDSN and SustainChain today in our launch and in moving a lot of SDSN's own platform activities to the SustainChain platform. So this is extremely important and exciting for us. The whole theory of change of sustainable development is that we change as a world. We change as a world using cutting-edge technologies, but also guided by the Sustainable Development Goals as our objectives. We are aiming for a world that is prosperous, fair, environmentally sustainable, and peaceful. This is the SDG framework. It's a wonderful framework. It is actually a strong and nearly universally embraced framework, though you might not know it from the headlines day to day. But governments all over the world, universities all over the world, businesses all over the world, civil society all over the world, youth groups all over the world are committed to sustainable development and specifically to promoting the Sustainable Development Goals. The partnerships are exciting in all parts of the world and in all dimensions of our global society. Scientists, academics of all different fields, business leaders, and I'd also like to emphasize religious leaders. Pope Francis, Patriarch Bartholomew, the Grand Imam of Al-Aqsa, are all strong supporters of sustainable development and the Sustainable Development Goals specifically. So what SustainChain is making possible is both the stronger connectivity across all of the sectors as more and more partners join SustainChain and its platform, but also, as Jackie mentioned, the insights that can be gleaned from those partnerships through effective use of AI to guide new connections, to make new suggestions, to help identify new potential partners, and so on. And so I'm extremely excited to see what lies ahead. We're all a bit on a new and amazing journey with artificial intelligence. Every day brings a new gasp of wonderment of what is possible. And I want to thank you, Jackie, for bringing these very important tools to bear in our partnership. I know that many parts of SDSN are similarly engaged in using the cutting edge AI technologies, of course. We're about to hear from Phoebe Konduri, one of our principal leaders worldwide in sustainable development and the head of SDSN's Climate Hub in Athens. And Phoebe has not only been using AI across the range of activities to identify pathways to decarbonization and climate action, but now is closely partnering with you, Jackie, to amplify what can be done together. So let me just thank everybody for being here today. It's an incredible group from all over the world. Just look at the chat to be inspired at the conversation that we're having. Thank you, Jackie, for your vision of SustainChain and for your incredible business acumen to put it into operation so effectively. And thank you for partnering, well, for your leadership of SDSN over all the years since its inception, and for partnering and making the SustainChain platform a part and core of the SDSN family. I'm now very eager to hear the proceedings as we move forward in this new partnership. So thank you very much, and back to you.
Oh my gosh. Well, where do we go from that? I just want to say that if it were not for you, Jeff, and I know everyone who is participating with us today understands this well, it's your inspiration that allowed my own ability to think things through in the very specific ways required to even design a clean sheet of paper, purpose-built platform like this. So my endless appreciation and thanks to you as well. And I think we're going to get really underway here, and I'm going to pass over to you, Phoebe.
Okay. Are you sure it's not Maria's turn? Maria?
Phoebe, I think it would be fantastic to start by hearing from you, but just to make an introduction of who you are, Phoebe Konduri is the chair of SDSN Europe. She's the chair of our Climate Hub, as Professor Sachs just explained, but he's also the founder and the scientific director of the Alliance of Excellence for Research and Innovation on Aephoria, called IREA. So Phoebe, let's jump directly to you, and I can take it over from you thereafter.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jeff, for your immense leadership. Thank you, Jacqueline, for putting this wonderful tool for creating the network for our community, the sustainable development community, in order to be able to work together, to support each other, to understand who is doing what, to understand the trade-offs, the synergies, and the way forward. Nothing can be done in science, nothing can be done in terms of actual impact and implementation without collaboration. And we are all very aware of the SDGs, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and we are all very aware of the fact that this is a very integrated, very holistic, very science hectic, data hectic, but most of all, collaboration hectic framework. And we know that SDG 17 is about collaboration, and it is the most important one from all. Because without this collaboration, it's impossible. It's impossible to understand the science that we need, because this collaboration has its roots in the need for interdisciplinarity. So the different sciences need to stop working in silos and come together into reasonable solutions that are directly implementable and can help us pave our way to the full implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. And then it's not just the science, of course, is engaging all other stakeholders in this science-driven transformation and bringing together all other stakeholders, not just in conversation, but also together in acquiring the capacity to make this conversation meaningful. The politicians, the policymakers, the technology developers, the financiers, the businessmen, the civil society, everybody has to get together and talk to each other. Like Jeff always says, like Jeff created this huge global network. This is a prototype of how things should be done. And I'm excited to be a small part of this. And I'm excited that Jacqueline and her amazing team has managed to put this platform together, because it's a platform that not only introduces what each one of us does, what each team does, how it supports the development goal, but introducing each team to one another and allows us to support one another, allows us to avoid the replication, and allows us to join forces to have a voice that can be heard. It's a very difficult geopolitical situation. We need to continue our work. We need to have impact, because it's through impact that we convince more and more people to be on board. And in order to have that impact, we need the critical mass of us, the scientists, the technology developers, the businessmen, the financiers, everybody together with convincing the policymakers and the politicians to come on board. The Alliance of Excellence for Research and Innovation on IFORIA, and let me know when I should stop. Is it time to stop? Just give me 1 minute to say something about IFORIA, and then I stop. Is a network of more than 200 researchers since 1997 that brings together transformative systems-based solutions for the sustainable interaction between nature, society, and economy. It tries to develop the optimal mixture of policies, technologies, and fiscal and financial instruments and governance structures that can allow us to reach the full implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. It's a network that fully supports SDSN, because SDSN is a true force of nature, is a true force that can accelerate the needed transformation. We are a group of research and innovation center, innovation acceleration hubs, science policy networks, and scientific and associations and academies. We chair the Global Climate Hub that tries of SDSN that develops for each and every country pathways for the transition to climate neutrality and climate resilience. And we also support SDSN Europe. I am the co-chair, again, through transformation pathways for the whole of Europe. And of course, heavily involved in SDSN Greece. Our thematics is climate neutrality and resilience, water, food, energy, and biodiversity nexus, and land use change, sustainable oceans and seas, socioeconomic, financial, and behavioral economics in the service of sustainability, innovation acceleration, more than 500 startups and spin-offs incubated and accelerated through the market, and of course, a lot of education, skilling, and reskilling. I want to close by saying that we work in 120 countries in the world, most of the times in our projects that are multi-partner projects, multi-million projects. SDSN is, of course, involved in a leadership position, and also each of these projects, more than 100 projects, involve more than 30 partners. So it's a huge network, it's a huge ecosystem with various stakeholders involved, and all of this ecosystem will be part of SustainChain, and we are fully excited about that. I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phoebe. Maria, please.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Perhaps before I jump in, there is a question in the chat that I think, Jackie, either you or Joanna may be able to respond already. I think Phoebe has touched upon this question of and Jeff did too, we all need to be working together across sectors. And John Barimo from our SDSN Ireland is asking whether the AI dimension of SustainChain currently has tools to bridge research and policy gaps at local, national, and global levels, or whether this is something that can be developed through the practice and the use of this platform. So Jackie and Joanna, since you're both together, I want to give you the floor before I briefly present how we envision our network to be using this tool, in case you want to address this.
You know, it's a wonderful question. It's excellent, and there's two ways to answer that. The way that the technology is designed does allow for that. The key to being able to put what we call Da Vinci, which is the machine learning engine, in a position to be guiding the community with respect to bridging policy gaps is to scale massively what the community of SustainChain, and combine that with where LLM, large language modeling, is going. And the reason that's true is because reinforcement learning is working off of the actions within the communities and everything it learns about what's critical about connections being made, about collaborations needed, about ecosystems being built. So the short answer to the question is, our technology, our collective technology, is specifically designed to address those gaps. And with the growth and breadth of the community, as well as combining it with the large language models as they evolve, we will get there faster than we could have ever imagined in hopefully a very short period of time.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Wonderful. So let me just share very briefly my screen to speak about the SDSN network. I see that a good chunk of the people who are in the chat come from our network, which is very exciting because it means that indeed you're coming from all around the world, and you probably know the program quite well, so I won't take too much time. But SDSN is the largest network of academic institutions in the world focusing on sustainable development and the acceleration of the SDGs. We have more than 2,000 member institutions. About 75% of these 2,000 plus members are universities, but we also have civil society organizations that produce knowledge. We have think tanks and other agencies, and so that again are producing knowledge or educational products. They cover 150 different countries. So you can imagine that making connections across these countries and around specific topics is a bit of a challenge. Our members are organized in 57 different national and regional networks, and they coordinate activity of all of the institutions in that region or in that country, and they tend to focus on these three key objectives. So they want to localize the SDGs. So what do the SDGs mean for my specific country or my region? What are some of the challenges that we face because of our geography or because of the geopolitics of our region? What kind of data do we need to make sure that we're making progress in the right direction? Or what kind of technological solutions do we need? They also focus on teaching and learning sustainable development and the SDGs, including the use of our SDG Academy materials. And they also vet and launch solution initiatives, so programs that address these very specific challenges of their countries and regions. But this also has to do with developing these long-term, scientifically rigorous pathways to how do we actually reach these objectives? So what are the pathways available for our country? Now, I wanted to focus a bit on the kind of impacts that our networks have, because I think they explain very well why we needed a platform like SustainChain. So I'm not going to read all of these, but you can read them yourselves, and you'll see that our networks have been working indeed, like John Barino was asking us, in policy development. So they've participated. About 70% of our networks have have had some sort of official mandate to advise their government on SDGs related topics. They've developed COVID recovery strategies aligned with the SDGs, or they host parliamentary groups, cross-party parliamentary groups that work on the SDGs, or they provided advice on the SDG national strategy or indicator framework. They also, as I was saying, focus on education and research. And we have, for example, SDSN Germany was asked specifically to develop a science platform, Sustainability 2030, that was going to develop research specifically targeting the SDGs. Or they have educational programs like SDSN Nigeria that then lead to concrete projects. And finally, they develop solutions. So they have developed platforms, they have developed, for example, our SDSN Benin, working with the SDSN Secretariat, directly with the Ministry of Finance, of Economic and Finance, developed these tools to address SDG progress, to support this pioneering SDG bond for the country. So with all of these breadth of activities around the world, we needed some tool that would allow us to bring people together, to share their expertise, but also their ideas on specific projects and collaborations. And this is where SustainChain comes in. So I'm going to just very briefly also let you know that we already have 200 different individuals in our SustainChain section. One of the things that we see is very positive about SustainChain for our network is that it will not just be the SDSN network, but it will be the SDSN network plus other exciting and successful groups such as the WBCSD, which will allow us to create connections beyond our network. We have one global group, which is already the feed is already very active. So for all of you joining us today, if you haven't logged in, we encourage you to do so. Hopefully your institution is already a member of SDSN, but if it's not, then we encourage you also to become a member of SDSN. All of the publications, all of the tools, all of the guides, and the information about our events and our convening or consultations are going to be posted at the SustainChain Global Challenge, as well as all of the opportunities to collaborate. I think I'll stop here and will thank again Jackie for her tremendous leadership in this endeavor. This is a tool I think that is just what we were waiting for. We all know, and the Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed very clearly said in September of this past year that we need to move away from incrementalism, and to do that we need to work together. So hopefully this will be just what we need to catalyze that kind of collaboration. So thank you very much everyone for your attention, and I'm going to now hand the floor to Joanna, who is the President and Head of Product of the US Coalition in Sustainability, who will give us more details about how this platform works, how you can start using it immediately, and what are some of the great tools that come with it. Joanna, over to you.
Maria, thank you so much and for the wonderful words and your own leadership in helping SDSN as this massive network become more and more and more integrated and cohesive and effective together. I'm going to hand over to Joanna, but before I do, I want to touch back with Phoebe. Phoebe is an incredible leader in sustainability in Greece and in Europe broadly, and actually was the first to discover and join SustainChain, and now represents just a wonderful way and experience and way to think about how SustainChain will increase the effectiveness, increase the speed, create cohesiveness, reduce the duplication, and really bring people together in a way and more productively than they've ever been able to do. And so, Phoebe, could you please help folks understand precisely your use case for using SustainChain, and then we'll move on to Joanna.
Yes, thank you very much, Jackie. Euphoria is a very big network, and it has, as I told you before, many projects. For example, in climate and in climate neutrality and resilience projects, if the slider would work for me, you would see many different projects. And each of these projects in which Euphoria participates, and the footprint, for example, of our first thematic climate neutrality and resilience, you can see it on this map, is almost across the world, is really difficult to manage, even within this thematic, because each project has many partners. These partners are mainly universities and research institutions. Each project has many deliverables, and then there are the other tens of projects within these thematics that have relevant deliverables, that have relevant visions, that have partly some of the partners of one project being involved in others, but not being involved in other projects, but some other partners not being involved. So it's a huge ecosystem of partners, of projects, of ideas, of deliverables, of publications, of innovations that are being accelerated into the market, of public-private partnerships, of businessmen coming into the picture. Too many people, too many ideas, too many partners, too many countries, too many policy frameworks, and I'm continuing to showing you the slider just to see that from each of these projects, you have tools. First of all, you have data, then you have models, Then you have results of the models. Then you have implementation guidelines. Then you have tools, decision support systems, digital twins, virtual reality tools, dashboards, and so on. All these need to talk to each other. And I continue showing you sliders with different projects. And the way to talk to each other is really use the cutting edge AI technology to identify the links, first the correlations, and then we can also, of course, talk about causality as well. AI is being developed more and more. So it's a way, SustainChain, it's a beautiful way to understand how we bring all these ideas, all these outcomes, all this data, and all the need for the different stakeholders to talk to each other in order to really achieve implementation and impact. It is impossible otherwise, and I continue to show maps of our projects and our work and how they are allocated across the globe, just to show that even us, one of the 2,000 teams that are part of SDSN needs urgently the services of SustainChain. Without creating this community, we are not gonna be good enough. We are not gonna be in a position to create the impact that we need. And the final thing that I wanted to show you that it's also very important for SDSN is this immense effort to put together these sustainable pathways for climate neutrality and climate resilience for each and every country of the world under the Global Climate Hub. This, what we are doing now, is to use the research funding and the researchers within all these projects that I've shown you before that belong to IFORIA, where IFORIA participates, in order to achieve the pathways, the design of the pathways for climate neutrality and climate resilience. And this means that we are downscaling for each and every country climate scenarios. We are building the pathways for the energy and transport system, the land use and marine use system, the health systems, the innovation systems, embed everything in socioeconomic systems. And at the same time, while we are making this mathematical interdisciplinary integration of all the systems across the economy of a country and between regions, groups of countries, we are at the same time co-designing these pathways with all the stakeholders. We have living labs in each and every country discussing the pathways and making sure that the stakeholders have the capacity to participate in this discussion and then integrate in the developed pathways, in the solution pathways, their vision, their preferences, their knowledge, their aspirations. And this means a lot of education and training for the stakeholders, but also a true integrated co-design approach so that at the end of the day, science builds pathways that are owned and by the stakeholders, and the stakeholders really become shareholders of all this. And all this attempt is transposed into this digital platform that you can see here, which will be also integrated into SustainChain, a platform where from across the world you can find the data that is needed to build the pathways for climate neutrality and climate resilience, the models, the tools to use in order to understand and implement these pathways. So even for us, just a small part of SDSN, this platform could be our guiding tool for making sense of all that we do. And of course, the impact is so much bigger and multiplied across the world because of SDSN.
Wonderful. Thank you, Phoebe. And I feel that maybe that real practical exposure, right, and description of specifically how SustainChain is helping Aphoria, which, by the way, is profoundly exciting. It's so expansive, addressing just about every facet of sustainability. I'm thrilled, excited, and proud that Phoebe and all of her work is already utilizing SustainChain and has such wonderful plans for its use in the future. I want to hand back to our facilitators and transition to SustainChain itself.
Thank you, Jackie. Let's hand it over then to Joanna again, so that we hear about the nitty-gritties of the platform and people can see a bit how it works, what are some of the images and what they can expect there. Joanna, I'll just give you very quickly a question that has popped up also in the chat so that you can address that throughout your presentation. So someone is asking, how can this platform help their own strategy on sustainable development or their own projects? I think this is probably something that you're going to illustrate. Phoebe's just presentation addressed it a bit, but I think you can go into the weeds of how these would work and how people can share their own initiatives, their projects, and so on. So Joanna, over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Maria, and thank you, Phoebe. That was a perfect segue to making this this platform, this tool that everyone has spoken so eloquently about, a bit more tangible and a bit more real. So first of all, a huge welcome to the SDSN network. This is an incredible milestone for us. What a prestigious network and set of global leaders that are now joining us. It's an incredible moment and privilege, frankly. Thank you, Phoebe, and Aphoria and your team. You have been on the platform for some time now, and I'm going to, in a moment, share my screen and make these projects that Phoebe just shared on her PowerPoint, right? Show you how they are live and dynamic and active on the platform today. And it's thanks to Phoebe and her team that have even over the years been giving us guidance and suggestions on the tool itself to make it as useful and flexible as possible for this growing community of change makers. First, to Maria's point, just a few very practical housekeeping items. If you are an SDSN member, you will have received your special invitation link this week. All 2,000 plus member institutions have received it. If you have any questions or haven't located it, please do reach out. I know the team is going to be dropping those links into the chat here as well. Aphoria members, so many are already on the group on SustainChain. If you have not received an invitation as well, do reach out. We'll give you a special link very, very quickly. And then I know that today we are also joined by new organizations, new change makers across the globe who are interested in joining SustainChain, who perhaps do not have an affiliation with SDSN or Aphoria yet. All are welcome. This is a public utility. This platform has been purpose-built to accelerate action, not only across these huge, really important networks, but also through individual institution participation. It's about connecting, right, this much broader network of networks. It is a gated community. So we do make sure that when you come and you are a member of SustainChain, you can feel safe and secure sharing your resources, your solutions, your needs with other members. So please know that our team on the back end is vetting all members. But today, please request to join. We have a team that's standing by to review that and quickly let you in and let you join this growing network and this growing community. So I'm going to share my screen and make all of this a bit tangible. So again, SustainChain is a tool. It is a platform. It is purpose-built to enable mass collaboration and sharing across this critical network of networks. You'll see the layout is quite similar to LinkedIn. It has been designed to be sort of quite modern, but also as user-friendly as possible for all members. You've heard us speak about the AI engine and the criticality of this reinforcement learning engine called DaVinci in ultimately creating these links and threading these opportunities across the network. So as soon as you join, when you're on the homepage of SustainChain, which you can always get to through home or clicking on the logo, you are going to see a curated feed of recommendations for you, for you personally as an individual. So the system is going to learn from your profile, from your activity across SustainChain, and begin to understand what are your needs, what it's going to be recommending groups for you to join, initiatives that may need your particular stakeholder perspective, whether that's academic insight or whether that's innovation. It's going to be suggesting partners for you to meet, all of these being surfaced at the very top of your feed. If these are not relevant for you, we also all have an important role to play, which is to continue to train this engine to make smarter and smarter recommendations. And this is how over time, we move much faster towards these pathways that Phoebe has described so eloquently. So if something is not of relevance, you can just hit the negative signal here, and you are instantly helping to feed an AI engine and frankly, making a contribution towards the SDGs. You will have shortcuts here on your left. As you begin to engage with the platform, you're going to join groups, you're going to join initiatives, solutions. All of these will be sort of, you will see the shortcuts here on your left. And again, the system is always going to be recommending for you new initiatives to join, new solutions here on the right. Once you are a member, anyone can share. I mean, that really is, this collaboration engine really is at the core of the utility. So right here, you can create a post and you can specify what it is that you are sharing. Are you sharing a solution that you think others can benefit from and adopt? Are you sharing a resource? Perhaps it's a report or a learning or a case study. Or perhaps it's a project, an initiative, which I will show you in a moment, so many that both SDSN and Aphoria have launched and made public on SustainChain. Or perhaps knowing that this is a community of like-minded change makers, you have a need and you'd like to put that request and that need out to the community and ask for help. All of these you can do here. So I'm just going to quickly show you without going through too much detail here. What are you sharing? Let's say you're sharing a solution. And then just like most modern collaboration tools, you can share a title, a brief description, you can upload an image, a file, and then it's going to take you through 2 or 3 very simple steps. The most important at the end is it's going to invite you to select the audience that you want to share this with. And so the way that SustainChain was designed was so that there are moments when we only need to share across our own private network, our own group, right? Perhaps we're incubating a new idea, or there's private information that can only be shared with certain members. You can choose to just share those with your group or your network, or you can very simply toggle and make the solution or the initiative public and open to the entire network of networks. And in so doing, DaVinci, the recommendation engine, is picking that information up and it is going to be sending notifications to relevant members and potential partners across the chain. So this is the open SustainChain homepage, public and accessible to all. You'll see that a member just recently posted a new resource and a new program that's available. Similar to LinkedIn, there's ability to comment. You'll see that someone shared a lead here and others are commenting and posting. So very similar functionality as we hope many, many are used to, but now being served for this public good. I'm going to quickly go into, I should show you that the search capability, which is very important. Not only is this surfacing recommendations and sending you notifications, but in addition, you can go into SustainChain at any moment and you can just search the growing library of resources and learnings from so many prestigious partners. For example, just quickly showing you World Business Council for Sustainable Development, which we spoke of, you can see that they have shared so many incredible solutions here that are now publicly available to all. We have about 64 of them, and constantly they are adding new resources and solutions. Anything, you can search for a particular need and innovation. And as you do, you can say, I'm actually only looking for initiatives related to plastic, or perhaps it's solutions. And you can go through the system, you can go through, you can see the organizations, the members, the groups, the individuals that are focused on a particular area that is of urgency or importance to you. Lastly, I will go into the groups themselves. So think of SustainChain as this opportunity to both be on the public interchange, where you'll see the public feed and the recommendations, as well as the ability to go into these groups, these networks that are comprised of those private communities. So within SDSN Global, again, all members on this call that are part of SDSN will have received an invitation. Do let us know if you've missed that. And you can join here. And this is now a closed group for the entire SDSN network with the very same capabilities. Meaning if you're an SDSN member, you can post here, you can post your resource, your solution, your initiative, but even from within this group, you can instantly say, I would like this solution or this initiative to be public. And it will not only publish it to the SDSN network, it will publish it more broadly to the SDG community. And we've seen many doing that already just over the past few days, which is fantastic. Similarly, I can search within this feed here. I can also tab between various areas. So resources. Many SDSN members look forward to their weekly funding opportunities. They're all going to be available now in the resources section. You can also share and upload your own resources. If anyone ever needs help or has a suggestion or an issue that they'd like to address, you can click on help and instantly email both the SustainChain team and the facilitators. And then, of course, there's a full member directory. So the way SustainChain works, and this occurs across SustainChain, but also within each of the groups, I can search for individual members. And what's wonderful is that you will also see, as you go in and search for members, you'll see what initiatives they're working on, maybe what posts they've made, what their focused SDGs are, and so forth. And this is how we begin to thread the community together. I also wanted to show you the incredible initiatives that are now live on the Aphoria and within the Aphoria group. Not only are they within Aphoria, the team has actually made all of these public this week. So any members of SustainChain are actually able to request to join these groups, learn more about the initiatives and the projects that they are working on. And so I'll just give you a little sneak peek here. You can see all of these incredible initiatives, again, fully searchable, are now live on SustainChain, which means that as the teams share new milestones, as new members join. As new learnings are available, they will be able to instantly make them public and shareable via SustainChain. And any partners or members that are following those initiatives or that are a part of them will be able to sort of more dynamically stay up to speed on the incredible work that is being done, both across Aphoria and SDSN more broadly. Hopefully that gives everyone a taste of the platform and how it works. I just want to
jump in for a second. We have a question coming in on how SDSN and SustainChain will be incorporating business, the private sector, into this work. And I love that you've asked the question, and I'll try not to go too deeply into it, but this is really my sweet spot, which is as Jeff mentioned, I believe I am originally from the private sector, and as I started to get to work on thinking through what would a platform need to be able to accomplish in order for it to facilitate and drive progress in this integrated, cohesive, complete way. And as I reflected on it, and we all know, in order to get there, global supply chains need to be rebuilt, all of them, across industries. And so, in addition, and really at the core also of what SustainChain is doing is understanding how all of the work being done, whether it's on the financial side, the innovation side, the policy side, the science side, how does it relate back to addressing gaps in global supply chains that require focus? And so the answer to the question is a really resounding yes. Private sector is absolutely fully integrated as an actor within SustainChain, specifically their work in sustainability, how it's contributing not to just their own goals or to their own businesses' supply chains or industry supply chains, but Da Vinci is also looking, as it is in other aspects that we've discussed, looking for adjacencies for the work that's being done within SustainChain that is helping one industry but applies to another. And so private sector is very much a part of the community. I will say, and we all know, and it touches on what Joanna said in terms of this is an invitation only, highly protected community. And as we all know, private sector isn't always acting on the efforts that it may be aspiring to. And so what we're finding is that small and medium-sized enterprises, as we know, are the heart and soul of getting there with respect to rebuilding these supply chains. And I'm delighted to say that a very large community of small and medium-sized enterprises are within SustainChain now, and they are being bridged by a wonderful partner, the World Business Council on Sustainable Development, who is looking for the ways to exchange guidance, tool sets, insights, best practices from the procurement side of things in the big global corporations over to SustainChain, so small and medium-sized enterprises can take advantage of that and be better tooled and have the preparedness to participate in that larger process. And so I'll stop there. And any other questions, please go ahead and put them up on the chat.
And if I may say, we all know that small, medium enterprises are the backbone of many regions, regional economies across the world, for sure for Europe. And SustainChain is not just a connection tool to make visual examples and case studies, that can be used in order to move forward in an SME transformation towards sustainability. It's also an education tool, because you can see there how others have done it in a way that brings scientific recommendations into a transformation process that respects the needs of businesses. The business of businesses is to survive, meaning sustainable profits. So here on SustainChain, you can find ways to sustain profits that at the same time supporting the ESG transition, the transition of the value chain of a company towards sustainable use of natural resources, towards social cohesion, and of course, towards economic efficiency. So it's not just a connection tool, it's not just creating the net that supports everybody that wants and understands that the business case for sustainability is here, and it's the time to really implement it because the business case is here. It's also an education tool. And if you cannot figure it out yourself just from what is on SustainChain in terms of the outputs and the products and the tools that are made available here, you can also connect with people who have done it and can help you. You can discuss how one can help each other.
Thank you. Thank you. Joanna, back to you.
We just got an excellent question in the chat, which I just answered, but that what if you know of other networks who should be on SustainChain and who can benefit from SustainChain, please reach out to me personally. I've just responded again with my email. It's joanna@sustainchain.world. But we are constantly vetting and welcoming new strategic networks to SustainChain. And so we have a whole process for that, for rapid onboarding. So please do reach out to me directly. We absolutely welcome that.
Fantastic.
And I just want to say one thing, and then I'll hand it over to Jackie for closing remarks, which is to please remember that this is a public utility and a public service technology platform. So we might not have the budgets of the big tech giants, but we have something perhaps more important, which is heart and neutrality and incredible positive energy. And so unlike those organizations and tech platforms, we are taking our orders directly from this community of change makers. So as we go and as we evolve, just as Phoebe and her team and Maria at SDSN and others have made suggestions about how to improve the utility to make it as useful and effective as possible as this collaboration vehicle, please know that we're in sort of service. Our team is in service to this SDG community. So please, please reach out directly, make suggestions, offer ideas and so forth. And we are standing by and so excited to welcome these incredible networks today.
Thank you, Joanna. I can improve upon that and everything that has been said so far. Maria and team, though, since we have a little bit of time, would we like to do a little bit more of a Q&A? We'll take your lead.
Sure, yeah, Jackie. So there are a number of questions. A few of them have already been responded. I think Deborah, for example, was asking about how do we achieve a greater impact? Again, how do we move away from small projects that create this mosaic of individually great initiatives, but that are collectively not enough to provoke the transformations that we're looking for, in particular at universities. And she's mentioning that we would need all the leaders of the universities to agree on a set of things. Like, for example, students need to demonstrate a certain understanding on sustainable development topics. I think this is a great question that is connected to that of NGOs. So people don't know about the principles of sustainable development. And this is indeed something that we want SustainChain to address too. In fact, SDSN has every 2 years organizes a conference, rather a workshop, because it's really hands-on set of conferences with vice presidents and presidents and vice chancellors of universities from around the world. We typically have 4 of them, and 200 presidents join from very different countries. And we will be inviting all of them to join SustainChain. So hopefully this creates a movement of what universities can do more of. I think there is also a question about, yes, Jackie.
Maybe I can just
Please,
jump
yes,
in,
go ahead.
on that one, which is at the heart of a lot of what we force ourselves to think about. Joanna and I and the team, having this doesn't ensure that people are going to use it. And using it doesn't ensure that the actions that we know need to be taken are going to be taken, right? It always comes down to action. It always comes down to following through. And the biggest stumbling block, what we orient ourselves around, is the biggest stumbling block, which is the how, right? We all sort of feel limited in terms of the actions we can take based on the research that we have, based on our team, based on our resources, based on the limits of where our research takes us. And it's that sort of limitation that SustainChain is there to check the box on, if you will, prevent, right? In that it is constantly suggesting ways to get beyond the limitation that you perceive. Okay, so we know that SustainChain is designed to do that part. And then it really does come down to, what are we all prepared to do? How fast are we going to move based on the direction and guidance and intelligence that we can now take on, right? And it does come down, as we all know, to keeping ourselves individually and collectively accountable. There's only so far the technology can go, but in combination with a lot, and I say this in the vein that we've been discussing here for the time we've been together, social media, for all its questionable and worrying aspects from a behavior standpoint, shows us that we can become addicted to certain actions. And we're hoping that what the technology is doing in terms of providing the kind of fuel and insight we need to really take these objectives forward will be catalytic. It will continue to be catalytic, and that it will take on a life of its own. And so we are borrowing from some of the tactics that are used in social media to keep people notified, to urge them to act, and so on. And, hopefully in combination with what Maria's described, it gives you a little bit of a sense with sort of what's beneath the surface of how we've designed this in terms of the obvious things that can still fail us if once the technology reaches its own limits.
Can I say something very quickly and practical on this? Education, huge for the transition. At the last COP, we presented a report that showcases that 85% of the skills and knowledge that is needed for the implementation of the 150 laws of the European Green Deal, which is the European sustainability plan, are missing. So universities have a huge role to play. Now, SustainChain at the moment links to SDG Academy that has numerous courses on sustainability. Euphoria has another 120 courses like that. Each and every one of us, these are all open access and made available in a way that it is very coherent, because if you are in an engineering course and you want to teach something about the transition to a circular economy, you can find the course there and it's open access. So it is up to us, the professors, the teachers, to use SustainChain to identify the availability of material that can help us really teach cutting-edge, sustainable transition methodologies, knowledge, tools, skills that are needed for creating the labor force that is going to actually, at the end of the day, implement. SustainChain is a treasure with regards to that, because it allows you to directly, effortlessly identify where are these tools, where are these courses that I can use immediately. It's very helpful in order to update my teaching and provide the students with the skills and knowledge that they need to implement the existing regulations that are going to drive us to sustainability.
Thank you. We are getting a question in terms of invitations, and so we have provided the global invite link for anyone who would like to introduce other networks to SustainChain. Going to that link will be a way to request to join and allow folks to learn a little bit more on their own about SustainChain. We also have some videos that I would love to share with the group now that we've provided the context and backdrop for all of this, which we will also hopefully be able to add to the chat or somehow distribute after the webinar. Maria, anything else on this?
Really, thank you so much, Jackie.
For now?
I think there are a few other questions, but we're getting quite a bit to the nitty-gritty. And I think the key point, which is that today we're launching this partnership, is perhaps where we need to end it. And I will pick up a few things that have been said. So Joanna was explaining that this is a technology that has been developed with a purpose and with an ethical hope. But as you were saying, Jackie, it uses some of the most advanced algorithm and techniques of the successful social media tools. So we hope that this will become indeed a successful tool for good and for ethical purpose. However, one of you, I don't know if it has been you or Phoebe, have mentioned that these tools are as useful as people do get on them and post and exchange and meet other people. And so I think let's close by inviting everyone to indeed join. And maybe we can all commit to using the platform in the next, let's say, 10 days, at least once, getting in there, reaching out to someone, posting about a specific project that you have. Indeed, the time is very short. Someone was making reference to how little time we have left until 2030. So let's not be shy about this and get ourselves in SustainChain and commit to just breaking that sort of incrementalism vicious cycle and start working more more successfully together. Jackie,
Fantastic.
if that's okay, then
Yes.
let's close here. Thank you everyone who
Yes.
joined us today. We're all leaving with some homework, and we have again the next 10 days. I'm giving you 10 days, 2 weeks maximum to go in for the first time. Post something there, and as you've been doing in the chat throughout the last hour and a half, meet someone, reach out, share your publication, your initiative, something about your university, your an opportunity to collaborate on a future program, whatever it is, and hopefully this is how we get the ball rolling.
And a big
Thank you.
heartfelt welcome to SDSN to SustainChain.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward to engaging with each other there. Have a lovely day, everyone. Thanks again, Joanna and Jackie for your immense leadership, Phoebe for your partnership and leadership too, and everyone who joined together today. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Ciao.
you.